Yo, what's going on, y'all? My name is Alex, and let's go over who I think should win the major awards throughout the first half of the regular season. This includes awards like the MVP, Rookie of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, Most Improved, Sixth Man, and Coach of the Year. I actually made a preseason predictions video on these same exact awards, so make sure you check that out if you're interested to see who I thought was going to win before the season even started. But something that carries over from those predictions into this one is that the races for most of these awards are still pretty close, especially the MVP award. So please don't be upset with me if you don't agree, especially since most of these can change in a week by week basis. Before we start though, if you do end up enjoying this video, make sure you guys like and sub. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subs by the end of the year, so it would mean a lot to me. Anyways, let's get started. So the first award I'll start off with is the Rookie of the Year, and for me, it's between Paolo Banchero and Benedict Mathurin. Both of these rookies have impressed, especially Mathurin, since most people didn't even project him to be close in this race, but he has proven to be a nice scorer off the bench for a Pacers team that has exceeded a lot of people's expectations. However, I just have to go with Paolo. Paolo has just been a better player, averaging about 21 points a game, 7 rebounds and 4 assists. He's already a skilled scorer, being able to create on his own, play off of others, and even facilitate for his team. The biggest surprise to me, however, is just how well he's been able to get to the free throw line. He's averaging almost 8 free throws a game, which is something that almost never happens from a rookie. It would be wrong for me not to pick Paolo here, and I think out of all of the awards, this is probably the easiest to choose and is probably the most consensus. The next award to discuss is the Defensive Player of the Year. This is also a pretty clear one for me, and I think it has to be Giannis. The Bucks have been one of the best defenses in the league yet again, and Giannis is a big reason for that. His ability to be the best help defender in the league is just so valuable, not only to protect the rim, but to also close out on shooters with his length, which is something that the Bucks have actually started to do more. In the past, the Bucks opted to give up open threes if it meant no points in the paint. In the first 42 games of this season, the Bucks have only given up 1,414 three-point attempts. If this were to continue, the Bucks by the end of the season would probably only give up around 2,800 threes, which would be around 500 less threes from last season. Giannis makes this transition of defensive philosophy just so easy, and it's allowed the Bucks to stay dominant despite Middleton still missing a majority of the season, and just the Bucks in general not being a great offensive team. And for those reasons, that's why I think Giannis deserves the Defensive Player of the Year up to this point in the season. For our next award, let's go over a tougher award to decide, and surprisingly, it's Coach of the Year. What always makes this award hard to vote for is the decision of either rewarding the best team in the league or conference, or rewarding a surprising team beating all expectations given from the beginning of the season. Mike Brown of the Kings is a guy I think should heavily be considered because the Kings have just been fantastic this season by having one of the best offenses in the league, on par with the Boston Celtics. However, the Kings are only the 4th seed, and a coach who I think is also surprised while maintaining one of the best records in the East is actually Jacque Vaughn of the Brooklyn Nets. The Nets started 2-6 with Steve Nash as the head coach. Since Jacque Vaughn was promoted, the Nets are now 27-14, which would put them 2nd in the East and 4th overall in the league. A big reason for this turnaround has to do with the Nets' defense, which is surprising because the Nets don't really have a lot of defensive personnel. However, Jacque Vaughn has got Claxton, Ben Simmons, and even KD bought in on that side of the ball, and those three have made it extremely difficult to score with all of their length. Because of this surprising turnaround for the Nets and change of defensive ability, I just think Jacque Vaughn is very deserving of the Coach of the Year, but you can go both ways between him or Mike Brown in my opinion. Next up, we got the Sixth Man of the Year award, and for me, this goes to either Russell Westbrook or Malcolm Brogdon. What makes this so hard for me to decide is that Westbrook statistically is more dominant, even though Brogdon also puts up good numbers, but he is also just not as efficient as Brogdon. However, it would be hard to deny the impact of Westbrook coming off the bench has had for the Lakers. Westbrook off the bench has allowed LeBron and especially AD to be dominant with more spacing on the court, and being able to bring Westbrook in when LeBron sits and still have a good connection with AD has also helped the Lakers improve over the season. If you were to think that Malcolm Brogdon deserved to win this award simply because his efficiency was better, I honestly wouldn't blame you. But I just think Westbrook as a sixth man has just been more impactful and definitely more needed for their team to succeed, and for that reason I think Westbrook gets the nod. Before we get into the MVP award, let's go over one more award, which is the most improved player. For me, this is between Lauri Markkanen and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Both of these guys have taken their game to the next level, and I believe both of these guys will be first-time All-Stars this season. But in terms of what I think is a bigger surprise, which I think ultimately will decide this award by the end of the season, I think Lauri Markkanen is the most improved player. He went from a solid role player last year with the Cavs to a potential All-Star this season. He's currently averaging about 25 points per game, along with 8 rebounds on 51, 41, 86 splits, which would give him a true shooting percentage of 66%. On top of this, he has also led the Jazz to an unexpected season that saw them catch fire early in the season but ultimately fall back down to earth, but still better than originally expected. The dramatic rise in numbers and team success can also be seen with SGA, but SGA has been a solid borderline all-star player for about 2 seasons now. I somewhat expected him to improve, just not to the level he is right now where he may actually be a starter in the All-Star game. However, Lauri Markkanen's play is just something that I truly did not believe was going to happen at all, so I think for that reason alone he would get the nod for me. But again, if you went SGA, I wouldn't complain. And for the final award, we have the highly coveted MVP award, and damn, this is a tough one. There are only 4 players that come to mind that I think are deserving, like Tatum, Jokic, Luka, and Giannis, but realistically, I think this race is between Luka and Jokic. Both of these guys are dominating statistically, with both of them virtually averaging a triple-double. Jokic is leading his team to a better record right now, sitting at the 1st seed, but Luka is at the 5th seed, and with the West being so close, the Mavs are only 2.5 games back from the 3rd seed. If I had to choose one though, I think I would have to lean more towards Luka. Although his team is in the 5th seed, the Mavs roster isn't remotely close in terms of overall talent compared to the Nuggets and other teams in the West. Luka is pretty much solo squatting the Mavs into a solid playoff team while also leading the league in scoring. The success of the Mavs all revolves around Luka, and he has stepped up to the challenge. I may change my mind on this MVP pick in about a week, but as of right now, if the season were to end, I think I would just have to lean more towards Luka. And again, if you think it's Jokic, or even if you think it's Tatum or Giannis, 2 other guys who I think are definitely deserving, I wouldn't blame you on that as well. I think personally for me, it's just between those 2, and I would slightly lean towards Luka, even though the Jokic and Nuggets fan deep down inside of me really wants him to win again for the 3rd time, but I don't know, I just gotta go Luka on this one. Well, those are my mid-season picks for all 6 major awards. Let me know down below if you guys agree or disagree. If you guys ended up enjoying that video, again, make sure you guys like and sub. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subs by the end of the year. Check out the socials down below in the description, and you can also check out this video somewhere on the screen where I actually go over why the 6th Man of the Year award is kind of bad and maybe some ways we can change how it's awarded. Anyways, I'll see you on the next one. Peace out.